Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. And here we are going to proceed with the painting by a spring. It's called Spring, or sometimes it's called The Flower Picker by George Waterhouse. So the continuation, I was looking, let me show you, just in case you weren't here before. This is the painting that I'm working on. It's acrylic, and we're doing this as a class project. And now we are going to work on the area down here where there's the foliage and the bottom part of the painting. So it's going to be this here, and down in here I'll probably move it a little further if we still have time to get there, but this is what we're going to be working on now. So okay, so one thing you want to look at every time you approach a new painting or to start, you want to look at where's my darkest darks, and in this case I find some right underneath the cast shadow right here, and also right in this area. And that's what we're going to do right now, so that we will have a nice background for our foliage, our lighter leaves. So I am mixing a little bit of raw umber, raw umber is transparent. So just going to lay some of that color in there, and I'm going to go with a little sienna, because it is a warm burnt sienna mixed in with a little bit, so that if you have trouble figuring out how dark or light you want something, squint your eyes, and then you'll be able to tell more or less where the dark is, and the mediums and the lights. Okay, so now I have that, and then we continue up above, and I notice that it's a little chalky, like chalk. It's a warm color, and that kind of makes sense because it's a weathered wood fence. So when it gets a little bit of sun, it makes sense that it would be not a freshly painted fence. So I added a little bit of white to the already opaque color, which is yellow ochre. So I'm doing a little more in that area right there. So that helps to bring out the attention to her figure, to this area in here. It's almost quite chalky white in this area here. All right, so now I want to make sure that I have enough. This is a little bit, it's a good foundation, the green, but it's a little bit too bright and too light value. So we need to darken that now a little bit. It's a little bit bright, so just tone it down a little bit. And so it's helpful to have more than one brush at the ready, so you can just say, yeah, that is nice, but and dark, but there's a little bit of light yellow in here. And we're gonna start laying in some little bit of those little flowers, little orangey yellow flowers, golden, kind of warm. And a good thing to do, I found out with some of these, is that you can go up and down in a stipple kind of way, and you get like little brighter dots. I'm probably doing more than he has, but I like flowers, so. Okay, there's a bunch right in this area, right by her blue dress. Orangey. And of course, you have your primary opposites colors right there, right by the blue. So it makes your eye sparkle, because you got this color. Your three, if you think about it, you have your primaries there. You have red because this is orange, and you have yellow and blue. So all of that goes into adding interest to your main lady here. Okay, so now we're gonna say, let's do some of that, a little warm up. Let's warm up the flower basket. She's picking flowers. And we already have the nice yellow. I'm gonna add a little bit of burnt sienna on top of that. And I still notice that those yellow flowers are even a little brighter than I have them. A little more yellowy. So I'm gonna come in here with a little more. Paint a little more on top. And also in here, I have, even in that basket, those flowers, some of them are medium and some of them are little bits of bright yellows, because the sun is hitting them in a certain way that it makes them come out. Okay, so, and some of them are slightly spilling over the basket, that edge right there, like that. Oh, I love that yellow, or that orange and yellow right by her dress. Okay, so now let's do the edge of that basket. Has to have a sharper edge right in here with some of that green. And so we can go up and down like this just to establish that edge. And right in here we have a little bit of foliage, and it's not just green foliage. I noticed that it's got a tiny bit, it's almost like a purpley or violet foliage in here. So it's not just green and yellow. We have some very dark, but quite a bit of a complement color there. The yellow and the violet, the blue and the orange. And this is how you start learning about color theory, by doing it. And we'll be talking about it also. But, okay. Now down here, we're going to have more, what are they? I don't know what they are. They're little golden flowers. Maybe, let's see, that's too yellow. So now what do you do if it's too yellow? You're going to add a little bit of red white. And anytime you want something to stand out, pretty sure if you add the white, a tiny bit of white to the yellow ochre, they are both very opaque colors and they will stand out and on top, and they'll have wonderful coverage. See, now you can really see them. And some of those flowers are real tiny like that. Some of them are a little bigger, and then you have the medium ones. See, if you think about it, it's almost a rule that happens. There's a medium, a small, and a large. Just about in everything. You start observing. As an artist, you're going to be doing that. You're going to be having a lot of observation moments where you say, oh yeah, that's what happens in nature. Okay, now in here, let's see if you can still see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can. That's a little brighter. All right, and now there is also, I'm gonna clean my brush a little bit. I probably shouldn't have cleaned it because there is more orangey ones that we'd have to do, but I kind of want to do some of these blue ones, light blue flowers. I didn't hear. Maybe they're forget-me-nots, but it's kind of nice because it's like it's less of them. And then you put some of that. Okay. Now, same thing. You add a little bit of white to that blue if you want to make them stand out and stay on top so that you don't lose them in your painting. Let's see if we can stick some in there like this. See, now they're standing out more. They don't get lost into the background. Okay, so there we have that. Now I'm going to add a little more burnt sienna to that basket. Get a little more warmer red. Now underneath that basket, the arm, the handle, you have that little darker area right in here, see? That makes that pop out a little bit better. Okay, I think that's the idea with that. So you continue with the foliage. Some of those are going to be right here. Well, let me do a few that are going to be on her dress. Let's see. Well, we want it to be almost orange. So if you just use the yellow by itself, it's probably just going to, because it's transparent, so it's going to disappear. It's going to just melt into the dress. But you want to add the yellow ochre to it and a tiny bit of white, just a tiny bit of white, and that's going to make it stand out. I think I did too many. But like I said, I like flowers. And maybe I gave it too many. And so I think I gave it too many, you guys. So hopefully, I just love them, but I don't want them to look funny. So luckily, we just did that. So we can fix it kind of fast. So whenever something like that happens to you, just go right ahead and take care of it. You can always, with acrylics, you can always take care of it. But the thing is, right now, it's better to just do it right away. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I come in and add those flowers. But basically it's the same. I just did too many, and I think that, but it's the same thing that we did over here. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to show you how to do some of this in here, which is the foliage. So right now I have a square shader, or a little square brush like this, and I'm adding some white to it and some yellow and a little bit of blue to give me a green. And that green is going to be a little bit lighter than the rest of the underneath part. And you can use it at an angle, this brush, and it almost looks like a little sword shapes, little. So you want it to be a lighter value than the bottom, than the rest of it. So that it shows up. Some in there. Hope you can still see what I'm doing. I'm going to go up a little bit so you can see. Let's see if we can see what this is, what's happening here. So we want them light so that you can see them, but you know, you don't want them too light. You want like a mid value, because there is all this, there's quite a bit of shadow, or the fence and the dress is casting shadows in that area. So keep that in mind. Okay. And then little pokes. Okay, so you have that, and then you're going to come back and you're going to decide, you're going to squint your eyes again, and you're going to try to see where is the darkest dark, even in here, and see we can go and add a little bit of color to separate those leaves even more. there's a little browny area in here, kind of a, which I don't know what it is, but you know, your brain can say things like, oh, maybe there's a shoe there or something. It's kind of, you don't see everything, but I think that it looks a little bit like a tiny bit of brown, and then there's a tiny bit of like, I notice it looks like kind of a mousy color there, so kind of chalky. So it could be a shoe, you know, a leather shoe, maybe. So, okay, I think you get the idea. You continue with that, the same process over here. There's more little flowers. I think that I can probably, before I stop this, I think I'm going to come back and try to put in those little flowers that are so pretty. Okay, so there's one here, 2, 3, and 4. There's one right over here, right underneath the shoe. Okay, there's one over here, and maybe a couple more. And then maybe we'll do the stems later, maybe not, just a couple, just to give you. So even here we have tiny, small, medium, and different shapes. Kind of random looking is what you're shooting for. Don't get them exactly like that, but we want more than anything to get that feel of being out there, springtime, picking flowers. And there's flowers everywhere. Sometimes you're also going to come in here, do a little bit of those blue ones that we did, a little bit of those white ones. See, it's just like beautiful little weeds everywhere. Now, all of this, I love how he paints, because all of this is kind of a mess, a messiness that's beautiful. But this is the part right in here is where you do want to spend a little more detail. Okay, now I still have to work on this. I have to work on the fence. I have to work on a little defining that little her purse a little better. But now you can proceed with working on it. All right, thank you very much for being here watching this, and we'll see you next time.